Now, this is a typical Barcelona press. Barcelona, they adopt a kind of Hansi Flick press. They force play wide. They avoid, the ball coming into the midfield because that is where you can hurt them. Now, if you take a look at this press, you can find out that, the forward press is right. Rashford is well positioned. Rafinha is well positioned. Lamine Yamal is well positioned. Now, the problem here is, Eric Garcia. You can see that normally, Hansi Flick's men, they adopt a kind of press, a kind of zonal marking press, whereby they take in different positions on the pitch. And sometimes, they pick on those threats on different teams, more like a man marking. Now you can see that the threat here is this attacking midfielder of Espanyol. Now, no one was with him. When that ball came into him, there was no ball winning midfielder, that, read the game perfectly and, block out that play. Now, this has been a recurring issue in this Barcelona side. Sometimes the high press will be right, but that pocket of space in between the midfield and the defense, where you can hurt Barcelona, they do not, defend that ball well. Now, a player like Gavi, Marcasado, they can play this position, but you can't wait for, Gavi to come back from injury or that sort of thing. So probably, maybe in the summer, they should look for that player, that top ball winning midfielder, that box to box midfielder, that can read the game perfectly, because Eric Garcia here, he was, the problem press of this game here. Now, this was the first chance Espanyol had. Now, when the attacking midfielder held that ball, you can see that the high line was already in trouble. They had the chance and the striker couldn't take it. On another occasion, this would be a goal. You get so you can see that the left back and the right back, they are tucked in. They are trying to be compact. That's what they do when they are on a high press. They're trying to protect the channel. That one is also right. So the only problem wrong with this press and has been a recurring issue, is that pocket of space. So Hansi Flick should look for a way, to look for a defender. Eric Garcia is not a ball midfielder. He's a defender, so he does not have that positional awareness. A player like Gavi, like I've said before, can play this. You get so. This is the problem with Barcelona's high line and high press.